Not only the low taxes, direct democracy, high wages, the central location in Europe and the diverse nature, but also a number of other upsides contribute to the fact that Switzerland as a country attracts many people from all over the world. But even Switzerland has a few drawbacks that you should keep in mind in case you ever plan to move to Switzerland. Since I have already uploaded videos on the subjects moving to Switzerland, which canton is best, and moving to Switzerland 14 upsides, I would like to use the time in this video to explain what I believe are the 9 biggest downsides of moving to the Swiss country. The Swiss are internationally known for their reluctance. Expats, so foreign people working in Switzerland, regularly state that they find it very difficult to socialize with the Swiss people. The Swiss seem to be so-called coconut people, hard on the outside and soft once you get to know them better, and not peach people, who are soft from the outside but hard on the inside. One reason for the fact that it is hard for foreigners to connect to the Swiss is the Swiss-German language. Depending on which canton you want to move to, it will be less harder or more harder to understand the Swiss dialect. Most Swiss won't switch to standard German just for you, so it is up to you to adapt. For sure, it doesn't hurt if you learn the basics of Swiss German. See it as an investment in Swiss connections. Nevertheless, almost every Swiss understands English up to a certain degree, so communicating in English won't be a big deal. In Switzerland, not only Swiss German is spoken, but French, Italian and Romansh are also languages that are used by the Swiss. So if you move to western or southern Switzerland, it would be great to get some basic knowledge in French or Italian. Not only will it help you to feel more comfortable in Switzerland, but it is also a sign of willingness to integrate into the Swiss community. The Swiss kind of live in their own world. In Switzerland, as an island surrounded by the European Union, things are a bit different than in the neighboring countries. According to several reports I read on the internet, foreigners feel like they are in an artificial bubble. Thanks to its strong economy, crises do not affect Switzerland as much as other countries. Or at least Switzerland recovers very quickly after economic downswings. A great example is the word Eigenbrötler, which is used from time to time in the Swiss-German dialect. According to Wikipedia, this is a person who isolates himself, does all his tasks for himself and in his own way, and who appears strange to others in his behavior. I think that you can transfer that to Switzerland as a country. Switzerland prefers to go its own way. For sure, Switzerland is also known as the land of speed cameras. In no other country I visited are these things so cleverly hidden as in Switzerland. You really get the impression that the police not only has a lot of fun setting up the radars, but that it's also their goal to maximize profits. What I can advise you, just never drive too fast in Switzerland. Because not only the probability of getting caught is very high, but also the speed tickets are impressively pricey. Control is the best prevention. That is the approach of the chief of the traffic police in Schaffhausen. If local residents report that people are speeding, he has a mobile speed camera on site after a maximum of 5 days. And these radars also stay there until an improvement is noticeable. I'm not saying that this approach is bad per se, but it is just a typical Swiss quirk that you should be aware of as a foreigner. Switzerland is also known for its large number of laws and rules. Here are a few examples. If you repark your car without having briefly driven in flowing traffic, you can be charged a fine of 40 francs. There is a fine of 60 francs to be paid if you leave the ignition key in the car. From 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. it is forbidden to slam your car's door, the bonnet or the tailgate loudly. According to tenancy law, tenants must show consideration for their neighbors. Depending on the municipality you live in, wearing high heels is prohibited during the night. If you live in an apartment, you must not flush the toilet at this time. It seems like noise pollution is truly one of the highest criminal offenses in Switzerland. The Swiss are very sensitive to it. If you live in an apartment building, make sure to make as little noise as possible. Not only the salaries are much higher in Switzerland, but life in general is also a lot more expensive. If you live off $3,000 a month in Miami, Florida, you'll need almost $5,000 a month for the same lifestyle in Zug, one of the most expensive cities in Switzerland. So living in Zug is about 66% more expensive than living in Miami. If you are planning to move to Switzerland, make sure you have accumulated some savings or make sure that you get a job straight away, otherwise you will face a lot of challenges in Switzerland. Not only the general cost of living is high, but also the cost for public transportation. Even though the Swiss transportation system is undoubtedly one of the most reliable systems in the world, public transport prices are high. While other countries are already testing free local transport, the Swiss continue to pay quite a lot for their public transport. For example, in the Estonian capital Tallinn, local public transport is free for residents registered in Tallinn. Don't get me wrong, I think for good performance, which is definitely given in the Swiss public transport, you can ask for a reasonable price. But Switzerland could at least test free public transport on some individual routes to find out what the advantages and disadvantages of free public transport are. Although I strongly doubt that a complete free public transport would be good for Switzerland and its citizens, public transport in Switzerland is still expensive. Switzerland is a very densely populated and densely built up country. Although the Swiss country has an incredible variety of nature, especially considering its small size, you will find a small village every few kilometers. Sadly, one will not really find huge areas of untouched nature in Switzerland. Furthermore, Switzerland is one of the 44 landlocked countries on Earth. This certainly is a downside, because not only are the Swiss denied activities that are connected to the sea, but there is also a disadvantage in terms of international trade and the economy, because a connection to a sea allows access to sea trade routes and thus to trade with other countries. Switzerland loves fees, regardless of whether it's a residence confirmation, a residence registration, or a death certificate. Everything comes with a fee. But not only that, but the fees vary widely between the different cantons and municipalities and seem almost arbitrarily defined. On the other hand, one must say that with taxes already that low, charging a fee for such services is not too bad. But you should be aware of these unexpected minor inconveniences. The climate in Switzerland may be, depending on the location where you want to move to, significantly warmer and sunnier than the climate in your home country. However, generally speaking, the climate in Switzerland is not too great, especially for people who enjoy a warm and sunny climate. Mainly in winters, there is a lot of fog in Zurich, which most of the foreigners that move to Zurich do not like. So if the climate is an important factor for you, do some research in order to find out which canton fits you best. Perhaps you will then like Ticino, a canton with an Italian-speaking majority located south of the Alps. The average temperatures and the hours of sunshine per day are significantly higher than in other cantons. To sum up, Switzerland not only has advantages, but there are also disadvantages that you should be aware of, especially if you are planning to move to Switzerland. Do you know any other drawbacks? Then feel free to write them down in the comments. And if you now want to see the 14 greatest upsides of moving to Switzerland, you may click on the link in the video description or in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel for free for informative videos from countries all over the globe. Thanks for watching.